What is good, YouTube? It's your boy SY. Today I'm going to be making a what's sold video for you guys, just going over some of the items that I recently sold on eBay. I'm going to be providing some commentary on each of these items, as well as flashing on the screen the sale price, the price that I paid for each item, the shipping costs, the fees that both eBay and PayPal took from me, and then the net profit that I made on each of these items. My philosophy when it comes to buying things to sell on eBay is really to focus on things that are going to sell quickly, that I don't have to put a lot of time into fixing or cleaning. So I'm pretty picky when I source. I really just try to keep items, turning and burning through my store so that I can reinvest the money and buy new things. And ultimately, just try to make as much money as I can with the least amount of effort and the least amount of time. So with that being said, I'm just gonna go ahead and hop right into this.
All right, so starting off, we have these men's Hoka One One running shoes. Hoka One One is one of the best brands, hands down, that you can find in the thrift store. Every time I find a pair of these that are in good shape, my heart honestly skips a beat because I know I'm gonna sell them quick and I'm gonna sell them for a good price. These ones I didn't have to do any cleaning on. I picked them off the shelf like this. Granted, I did pay up. I think I paid about 20 bucks for these things, and I paid up 15 for these ones, but I knew they were going to sell and I knew I was gonna get good money on them, so I just had no problem doing that. The men's typically do sell for a little bit more than the women's. These were slightly more worn than these ones were. These black pair of women's were basically brand new, and each of these sold in less than a week. But seriously, you guys, Hoka One One, I can't stress it enough. If you don't know that brand, definitely be on the lookout for it, because if you find them in the thrift, even in average condition, you're gonna sell them and you're basically just picking up money off the shelf and putting it in your pocket. Next, we have this Novatel Verizon Jetpack. I have no idea even how you use these things. They're basically just Wi-Fi hotspots. They're more popular a few years ago. One of my friends used to talk about his. One thing to note on these guys is they do have different model numbers. Some of the model numbers will go for less money than this. Some of the higher ones will go for more money. These 2470s, I had 2 of them, and they each sold for about 30 bucks inside of my store for less than a week. So I would definitely buy more Jetpacks if I ever come across them again. Definitely be on the lookout for them. Verizon Jetpacks. Next, we have this vintage Sleeping Indian Designs shirt. This shirt I think is used for hunting, or it might be used for working on a ranch, or maybe just the outdoors in general. It was a pretty cool shirt. I honestly thought about keeping it for the personal collection. However, I saw how much they were going for, so I went ahead and sold it. The ones that were made of wool were actually going for more from this brand, Sleeping Indian Designs. I did a little bit of research and found out it was a vintage brand. I don't know what's going on up in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, you guys, but all of the random clothing brands I found from Jackson Hole, Wyoming have sold for really good money for me. So definitely be on the lookout for the Sleeping Indian Design, specifically the wool stuff. This one was cotton, so it went for a little bit less money, but a really cool shirt and just a really great sale overall. Next, we have these women's Batula by Birkenstock triple strap sandals. I used to live up in the Northwest where Birkenstocks have a huge following. That was actually the reason why I decided to even look them up when I came across them. I didn't really make too much money on these sandals, but I sold them quickly, and I sold them even though they had these toe prints in here, which is kind of gnarly. These things sat in my store for about a week and a half, but they ultimately sold, and overall a quick and very, very painless sale. Next, we have these brand new Cap dumbbells. This sale's kind of funny because I actually picked these up out of a Walmart. I paid 20 bucks each for these guys. I didn't really think they were going to sell, so I was really eager to get them listed. I listed them in the trunk of my car as soon as I walked out of the store. These pictures are from the trunk of my car. I went and played a round of golf right after, and they sold in that time. So they sold in less than 5 hours. I went back to the Walmart to try to buy out the rest of the stock, but they were already gone. So somebody knew that these were selling and was on top of their game when it came to these. Fitness stuff right now in general is really, really hot because of Rona season. People don't want to risk going and laying in other people's sweat or touching other people's sweat at the gym for that potential risk of infection. So a lot of people are buying fitness stuff so they can work out at their house. So definitely check your local Walmarts and see if they might have these dumbbells left in stock. Next, we have these Epson inks. These, I had 4 of these. These were the last 2 in my store. These guys sat for about 2 weeks. The other 2 sold in like 3 or 4 days. I have no idea why. I think I just got lucky. The first 2 sold to the same buyer. One thing to note about these is both of them were expired. This one was April 2014 and this one was April 2013. If you're a newer reseller, you might not know that you can sell expired ink. I would just try to maybe stay around. I won't touch anything that's earlier than 2012. And these were photo ink, so they sold a little bit more than the paper ink usually commands. But yeah, that's just one thing that I would note. Photo ink sells really well, and just look up, because ink is really, really easy to look up, and make sure that it's new. I won't pick up anything that doesn't have packaging around it ink-wise. So definitely want to make sure that it's still usable and still good, and the expiration date, won't really mean anything as long as it's, unused. Next, we have this men's Coca-Cola denim jean jacket. This thing actually sat in my store for like 3.5 months, and I actually went out in it a couple times just because I did like it. I thought about keeping it for the personal collection. Kind of a bad practice there of, smoking your own supply. But overall, this was a really cool jacket. I picked it up because it was Coca-Cola and it had this like stitched, patch on the back, which I thought was really cool, and was also a denim jacket. So I thought that it would sell. Unfortunately, it sat for way longer than I thought it was going to. Coca-Cola stuff, there's just so much of it out there. The stuff that is, unique will sell, but just make sure if you pick up something that's Coca-Cola that it has something special about it that will draw somebody to it. This ultimately sold, but I did lower the price a couple times in order to get it out the door. Next, we have this Tanner tee. Usually when you think of baseball tees, you think of those chunky, ugly, fat pieces of rubber with the fat tubes on them. Tanner tee is actually the best brand of baseball tee that you can find. I grew up playing baseball, so that's why I know about these things. These honestly look like somebody just screwed a piece of metal into a piece of plywood, but they, for whatever reason, sell really well. They're actually really heavy, but they're really durable tees, and high schools, colleges buy these things up like crazy. People don't know what they have because it ultimately just looks like a bunch of random parts that were assembled together to make a baseball tee, but they are worth good money, so be on the lookout for Tanner tees. Next, we have this official genuine Nintendo Wii gamepad. This is for the Wii U, and I didn't have the console to test this with, so I kind of took a gamble that it might not connect. I was able to test everything else, and it was in working condition and came with the charger. The charger definitely added some value here. This one also didn't have a stylus, so if you do come across these in the thrift stores, make sure that it has a stylus, and if it doesn't, just note it in your listing. It doesn't affect the value too much. These things are worth as much, if not more, than the Wii U console themselves, and they go for really good money. This was actually the second one I've ever found, so definitely be on the lookout for this, especially during Corona season when video game is still relatively hot, and we're coming down, so sell it while it's hot. Next, we have these Diesel Thanaz or Diesel Thanaz jeans. Diesel's a good brand. You can get pretty good money for it. Unfortunately, these did sit for a while, and most of the Diesel jeans that I've sold actually have sat for a while. So you will get good money on this brand. It's just you have to be willing to wait for it. I did drop the price a couple of times on this one as well. Still made a profit, but originally I was asking like $40-50, which you can get, but these ones were in my store for almost half of a year. So I just wanted to move them. Ultimately, what's going to determine if you sell these is going to be if you find one of the more popular models. I don't think Thanaz was that popular, and the size on them. These were a weird size, 29 by 32. So somebody that's short but somehow has long legs. I guess that's not what that means, but yeah. So 29 by 32 is a weird size. Next, we have this Brioni, no idea how to say that. Brioni is a great brand, luxury brand. I picked it up. This thing sat in my store for a while as well. And I think it was just because the pattern was kind of strange. It had like these wheat or hay kind of, I don't really know what you even call those. This one sat for about 2 months. I picked it up just for the brand alone, ignoring the pattern. I sold it for about $27. You can get more for these, but definitely pick up more of these in the future. Next, some more video game stuff. Got this Nintendo 64 console. This was an amazing sale for me. I picked up this and a Wii for 150 bucks. Got all of these controllers, the games, plus a Wii, plus a Mario Kart game for that Wii. These games right here are great games for N64. Of course, a lot of people are aware that they have high value, so it's pretty hard to find them. And also one thing I want to say is don't separate the games from the console. You're just destroying the value of the console. If you want to get max value for the console, sell it with the games. The games will retain their value no matter what. But if you want to boost up that price of that console, include some high desirable games with it. Next we have this FootJoy DryJoys Hydrolite Rain Short Sleeve shirt. This is actually for golf. For those of you that don't know, FootJoy is a golf brand. They make a lot of polos. I would personally not pick up the polos unless they had something unique about them, like a really cool pattern on them, or had like an exclusive golf club patch, like Torrey Pines or something. Something just to make it stand out. Otherwise, you're going to be competing with 1,500, 2,000 other FootJoy polos that are listed on eBay right now. This brand usually caters to middle-aged, older men, and so they do get excited about stuff like this, that's unique and can serve some sort of purpose, but the polos are just abundant. FootJoy, good brand, does carry some value, but again, I would try to stick to the stuff that's more niche, and I would also pick up a lot of their shoes. Next, we have this Rock Band Beatles Hofner bass guitar. If you're newer to the reseller game, you might not know that Rock Band and Guitar Hero controllers sell for really good money. It's kind of one of the first things that you learn when you're first starting to resell, is those are really just easy items to sell. The one thing that I want to talk about is make sure that you sell the Xbox 360 version. The PS3 versions are PS2, PS4, PS2 not as much, but anything that requires a dongle is just going to be a headache. The PlayStation ones require that you have this dongle, which costs almost as much as the guitar itself, and sometimes the dongle doesn't connect, and they're just a pain to test. So stick to the Xbox 360 ones. You'll get really good money for them. This one had this Beatles exclusive, so it did fetch a little bit more money, but overall, Guitar Hero Rock Band controllers for the Xbox 360 sell for good money. Okay, next we have these Funko Pops. I'm not really a big seller of Funko Pops, but I know a lot of people, collectors specifically, make a ton of money off of these. The one thing I do want to say about these is they're Harry Potter. Harry Potter stuff in general, I've made great money off of. Harry Potter stuff just has a huge following and will make you some pretty good money. I actually only bought these because I got a pretty good deal on them. I bought 45 of them for, I think, 145 bucks. I'll have to check, off of Craigslist. I listed them all individually originally, just in one night in one go, and some guy hit me up the next day naming all of the ones that he wanted from my store, and we settled on a price of $325. Last thing I want to say about Funko Pops is I'm no expert, but typically from what I've seen is the ones that have these Hot Topic exclusives, or these Comic-Con exclusives in the bottom right corner, or exclusively for Target or Barnes & Noble, typically are the ones that you want to try to source and will go for more money. Next, we have these Specialized black and red body geometry mountain bike shoes. Cycling stuff, mountain bike stuff does go for good money. These were just in great condition, really easy sell. Took them straight from the thrift store, listed them and sold them. I think they sat for about a week and a half. Pretty cool looking shoes. The black and red I thought was kind of cool. Overall would definitely be on the lookout for this brand. I don't really know anything about cycling and mountain biking gear other than that it sells for good money on eBay. But yeah, definitely be on the lookout for this kind of stuff. Next, some more video game stuff. We have these PlayStation 3 controllers. These are the 6-axis model. One thing to note is there is the 6-axis and there's also the DualShock 3s. The DualShock 3s do command a little bit more money, but whenever you get this stuff, you just want to make sure that you test them out and that they work well. I always will pick up video game controllers unless it's from the PlayStation 1 or just kind of a more random system. But I just list so many controllers. I just have continuous listings going on in my store of these things because I just save the listing. And so for example, I have an Xbox One controllers, Xbox 360 controllers listed in my store right now, and I just use the same photos over and over and over again and just keep clicking sell similar because they're so abundant in the thrifts. And the lower tiered versions like the 360 or the PS2 you might not make as much money off of, but it takes you 10 seconds to list it and takes you another minute to pick it up. So it's basically you're making on the 360 and PS2 controllers, you're making $5 in a minute and a half, which is amazing. And then if you find these like the PS3 or PS4 and Xbox One, even better. Next, even some more video game stuff. This was actually really cool because I got it for free from this woman on Nextdoor. I guess her kids had grown up and she was just giving away some of their toys. This one was actually kind of gross though. It had some blood, or I don't even know what that is. Maybe it's just dirt. I tried my best to clean it out with a razor blade, but I wasn't going to spend too much time on it. Ultimately, I knew it would sell because it worked well, and it came with a case and a few games. Always match the games with these video game systems if you can. You'll get more money for them, and any other accessories you might be able to find, like chargers or cases. Really easy, really quick. Last thing I'll say is I would pay up for this. You know, maybe not 20 bucks, but I would pay 15 because I know it will sell, and I know it will get out the door quick, and I know it won't take me much time to really deal with it. So that's the kind of stuff I like. Next, we have this Babolat tennis racket. Babolat or Babolat, I don't really know how to say it, but it's one of the best tennis brands out there. It's pretty much the only tennis racket that I'll pick up is Babolat or Babolat. And whenever I do pick these up, I always want to make sure that the grip is in good shape. People are already buying a used racket. They're already looking for a deal by buying a used racket, you know, so they don't really want to put in more money just to use it. They want to be able to get it right out the box and take it to the court. Obviously make sure that there's no bends in the strings or anything, you know, kind of wonky or like breaks or anything. But yeah, Babolat, not sure how to say it. Somebody please let me know if you do. Next, we have these G-Defy Gravity Defier walking shoes. These were women's shoes. I picked up a few pair of these from Savers. All of them sold for 40 bucks. I have no idea what these shoes are used for. If somebody knows, also let me know. It's definitely not style. They look like shape-ups. They have these giant chunky soles on them, and they're just kind of funky looking shoes. They might be for if you have back pain or something to relieve your back pain, but again, I don't really know. One thing about these is I did glue the very tip of them together, and they still held their value for about 40 bucks. So this brand definitely carries value. I think I sold all 3 pairs in about a month and a half. Definitely be on the lookout for these Gravity Defier shoes. Next, we have these Rock Revival jeans. Rock Revival, again, my eyes just absolutely light up whenever I see a pair of these for a decent price. Rock Revival is in that kind of GOAT tier with Hoka One One. They will sell so freaking quick, you guys. The men's usually command a higher price than the women's, but both are worth picking up. They sell really quick and sell for good money. Just make sure, you know, there's no stains, no tears, nothing gross about them, and you'll make a profit on them. These were great because I bought 11 of them for 140 bucks off of Craigslist. But yeah, overall, Rock Revival, stellar brand. Next, another really great brand, Hermes. Hermes makes luxury ties. This one is actually on the lower end. If you find the right pattern for these ties, you can get 75 to 100 bucks for them. This pattern, as you can see, is pretty ugly, and it was one of the older ties, so there wasn't really anything special about it. It just had that, you know, name brand alone that was associated with it. The one thing to know about these ties is they're counterfeit like crazy. There's a ton of YouTube videos that you can watch out there that will teach you how to identify a counterfeit Hermes tie. There are a lot of tells on them. This one was actually returned to me for some tiny little stain somewhere like up here that I still couldn't even see once I got it back, but I did sell it twice and still made some money off of it. Next, we have this men's vintage Izod Lacoste cardigan. This is like a collab, I guess you could call it, between Izod and Lacoste, two pretty random brands. The reason that this one is popular, or why I threw it in here, is because I think Kelso or Eric wore it on That 70s Show, and that's why this cardigan specifically carries value. I've come across a few of these, and I sell them every time. I shouldn't say a few, I've actually only come across 2, but I know that other resellers have had them. I've seen them in other YouTube videos, and that's actually where I learned about them in the first place. They come in all different colors, and they have a following because of That 70s Show, I think. So yeah, definitely pick these up if you find them. Next, we have these FootJoy casual spikeless golf shoes. For those of you that don't play golf, these are just used for, you know, getting a grip in the grass so you don't slip. Normally, golf shoes are more rigid and a lot more, I guess, you know, harder and not bendable, and they also have like a certain look to them where they don't look like sneakers. So these next 3 items are actually all spikeless golf shoes, and I live in Arizona, so it's just golf bonanza out here 24/7. I find these things all the time, and mainly what I've realized is that the thrift stores have no idea what they are sitting on. I always find them for really cheap, and I always sell them. I sell them all the time. One thing you want to make sure of is that these spikes just aren't super worn down. You want to make sure they're like still pretty high. Otherwise, yeah, definitely pick these things up. You can pick up the FootJoy, Echo, Adidas makes a ton of them, Nike makes a ton of them, Puma. They'll all sell, and they'll sell for, you know, decent money. You may have to wait a little bit. I think I did wait, you know, a decent amount of time on these guys, but yeah, definitely pick these up if you find them. So ending on this Tumi bag, one thing that was crazy when I picked this up was when I looked at the comps, the new ones were selling for $795. Tumi is just one of those brands that kind of confuses me because it just goes for such high money and I don't really get what's so special about it. I know on American Airlines, if you sit in first class, I think it's American, but if you sit, maybe it's Delta, but if you sit in first class on one of these airlines, they give you these bags that are Tumi branded for free, and they hold like headphones or sunglasses in them, and those bags alone go for $20 to $30, and you get them for free sitting in first class. So definitely pick up anything that you find that's Tumi. This is another example of something I paid up for because I knew it would sell. I think I paid $40 for this at a garage sale and ended up taking $125 on it, but I only sat on it for, you know, 2.5 weeks, and that's about it.
Alright guys, that concludes the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video or you learned something from it, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll be dropping more of these videos in the future, just showing you more items that I sell on eBay. Hopefully it will help you find items to sell in your own eBay stores and also give you a base idea of how much money you can make off of each of these items. I'll see you guys in the next one, and thank you again for watching.